Welcome to today's video lab. So what we have here is a lab that's fairly easy in terms of being able to do the content on your own. I'm going to narrate some of it for sure, but just follow along, and as we go through it, complete the lab, and you should be good to go. But this first page here, very general, very simple as far as what it's asking. All the questions that it's asking. It's just pretty much, what do you see? So what we see on this particular image, the first one, or the top image, this one that's in front of us right now, is you see these solid dark lines, which are illustrative of the spreading centers or places of separation. And then we have the lines that are a little thinner and have triangles on them. Those are where we have convergence. This is where we have plates colliding with each other. And so essentially we have spreading centers and ocean trenches. And you don't see them overlapping with each other, although you do see them often close to each other. So what are some general inferences as far as what you notice regarding this top image? And the first thing, just to get us started, observation 1. If you notice where most of the spreading centers are, i.e. the dark lines, they're found somewhere in the middle of an ocean. For example, the Atlantic Ocean or the Indian Ocean. You can see how they cut right through the middle of them. And so for the most part, you can see them as being located in the middle of oceans. Now we're going to look at these plate diagrams in which we're illustrating plate movements. And so this is something that's going to be at first complicated, but then, trust me, you'll get the hang of it. You'll dominate this quite quickly. This is by far the most difficult of all of them, is this particular one that we're looking at here, this example, and I'll walk you through it. Once again, what we have here is we have different types of plate boundaries being shown here. And the plates are labeled as A, B, or C. Now, in the instructions, it clearly notes that A does not move. So the A plate is stationary. And that's very similar to what we find in the real world, because Africa, the continent of Africa, has remained fairly stationary, where over time all the other continents have definitely migrated and moved around. So what we have here is we have different plate boundaries, and so A doesn't move, so we got to figure out B and C then. First thing to do, and this is just a tip going forward as we complete these in future exams, is the T is the first part to stop. If you ever see a T on a particular diagram, go ahead and start there, because the T means a transform fault. Transform fault, once again, those are ones in which plates are sliding right by each other. Just like a highway in which you got one road going, one side of the highway going one way, the other side of the highway going the other way. So T means a transform fault, and we can go ahead, we can say that this particular area, that just by knowing it's transform fault, plate B is either going down or it's going up. It's one or the other, because once again, it's a transform fault. That's what that's showcasing there. So knowing what we know, if we go ahead and look down farther, we see inside this rectangular box, we see two parallel lines. The two parallel lines, as mentioned in the instructions, are places of divergence or separation, or a spreading center. So for having separation there, that means B is definitely going up. Because it's not going down, because we have separation inside this box. And so plate B is gently going straight up in this particular diagram. Now we got to figure out C. So for C, we see those the line with the triangles. Now over here, once again, you're going to look at these and think, well, the triangles are pointing a certain direction, so that means the direction it's going. Don't think that. Just think of this as just being a place of convergence. So don't worry about the triangles as far as the direction they're going. Just purely look at them as far as a symbol of this is where we have plates coming together, colliding with each other, head-on collision, two people colliding, boom, right into each other. We have two plates colliding right in with each other. And so because of that, we now know that the plate C is either going to the left or it's going to the right. And knowing, once again, in the rectangular box that we have separation, that plates B and C are separating from each other, we know that C cannot be going to the right. It must be going to the left. And so this is just a way to illustrate plate movements, and by far the most difficult one of them all, but hopefully you can be able to perfect them and be really solid on a future exam. And here they all are together. So I'll say that the very first one and the last one traditionally are the most difficult. But I'll go ahead and I'll give you the answers. which are shown here.